All right, this is pre-algebra lesson 4.2, which is, what is it, exponents? Is that what they call it? Just exponents. Good, easy. Exponents. What is an exponent? Well, an exponent is used to show repeated multiplication. For example, if I gave you this 4 with a 2 up here, a lot of people very quickly, what do you think the common mistake here is? What's the common mistake?
They multiply
4 times 2, and they put 8. That is not true. This exponent simply tells you how many 4s are being multiplied by each other, right? That's how many 4s are being multiplied by each other. Therefore, this is not 4 times 2, it's 4 times 4, right? There are 2 4s. That's what that guy tells you. Does that make sense? So that would be 4 squared would be, oh, and you say this, a couple of things. You can say that a couple of ways. You can say that 4 squared. And the other way is to say it the long, more proper way would be 4 to the second power, or 4 to the power of 2 would work too. Okay. What about this? 6. Somebody read that to me, please. Bradley, read me this. Just read me that question. Read me that statement. 6 to the third power works. Another thing you can do is whenever you have a 3 up here, there's another short name for it. Does anybody know what that is? Cubed. If it's cubed. Okay, so that's the only 2 that have short nicknames, and that is that if it's something like 5 squared and this is 6 cubed. Does that make sense? Generally, though, you can always say 5 to the second power, 6 to the third power, etc. What does 6 to the third power mean?
6 times 6 times 6.
Right, it's 6 times 6 times 6. It's 6 3 times, right? 6 times itself 3 times. Total number of 3 6s. Okay, not super difficult. We do start dealing with this. What if I have this? What if I have negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3? Can you write that as an exponent? How would you write that as an exponent, Sheena? Negative 3 to the fourth power. Absolutely, that's good. What about this then, now that we're in pre-algebra? That's something that I would have taught you, or that you would have been taught last year. Now you're in pre-algebra. What if I have this? Well, I'll go like this. Okay, so here's what you would do. I have these 2. What is negative 4 times negative 4? How can I write that as an exponent, Jack?
Negative 4 squared.
Negative 4 squared is those 2. I also have an A and an A. They're also being multiplied. What is A times A?
That would be A squared.
A squared, absolutely, A squared. And then there's a B here all by itself. I know, we're going to get to just a second. I promise there's something we're going to do here. Then there is a B all by itself. What do I do with that? Just slap it on there. Do I put a 1?
No.
Here's the deal. Is that wrong? Is this incorrect? Is B to the first incorrect? No. It's just, what do I call it?
Redundant.
It's redundant, right? You don't need to put it, right? You don't need to put it. It's already assumed, right? So anyway, then we don't put the B to the first. There it is. That's how you would do this, except for this. I'll show you something. I need to show you something about exponents. Do you remember how whenever we have a formula and you're going to plug it in, like if you have a formula, what is it? D equals RT. And I go over here and tell you that R is 3 and T is negative 5. When we plug it in, how do we plug it in? We would go D equals, and then how do I do this? What do I do? Do I just put down 3? Is that what I do? No, do you remember what we do? Whenever you plug it in, you always put it in parentheses. It seems silly to do that. I would think for you, you'd be like, Why would you do that? I'm going to show you why you would do it, okay? There's a very specific reason why whenever you're plugging in numbers into an equation or into a formula that you always put it in parentheses. Here's the deal. What is this? What is that answer? Negative 4 squared. What is that? Kyla, what do you think?
16.
You think it's 16, right? A positive 16 because negative 4 times negative 4 is 16. How many of you agree with that? How many of you agree with that? Yeah, you're all wrong. You're all wrong. This is the thing. This is the reason why we do that. We put things in parentheses. This right here is this. What is the order of operations?
Oh.
What's the order of operations, Chad?
Parentheses, exponents.
Parentheses is first, and then you go exponents, right? Then it's multiply and divide. Then it's add and subtract. Well, here's the deal. Technically, negative 4 is no different than negative 1 times 4. What is being squared here? What is being squared there? 4 is being squared. Do you see that? 4 is being squared. Therefore, 4 squared is 16. And then you put the negative out in front of it. Does that make sense? This guy right here is negative 16. That's the answer to that because we're actually squaring the 4. Does that make sense? Okay. If I wanted to square the negative 4, what would I do? What would I have to do to let you know that I want you to square the negative 4? What would I do?
Would you put the negative in a parenthesis?
I would go like this. Now, what is negative 4 squared? This is 16 because what am I actually squaring? I'm squaring it's negative 4 times negative 4. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So it's important. If I go like this, if I say, okay, here's negative x squared plus 3, and I tell you that x equals negative, well, I'll even say that x equals we'll say 5, right? If I don't put it in parentheses, right, you might be tempted, well, hold on, I'm going to do this. I'm going to erase that, and I'll make this here a negative 5. You would be tempted to go negative 5 squared plus 3, right? Didn't I just replace x with negative 5? Isn't that what I did? Right? And then you look at this and you go, oh, okay, technically, this would be negative 25 plus 3, and which is negative 22. That's not true. Because what do I have to do with this negative 5? You put it in here, how? You put it in parentheses, always, right? Whenever you're plugging it in, you put it in parentheses. It would be negative 5 squared plus 3, which is 25 plus 3, which is 28. Is there a difference between these two right here?
Yes.
Yeah, right? I show you all these things just for now, just so that you'll understand that you have to put, when you plug things in, you put it in parentheses. One last really quick thing here. I want you guys to do this really quick. So we're going to take a quick little quiz here. Here we go. A couple of questions. I want you to do it for me. What is you should answer both those for me. All right, very simply, what is that guy? This is the one that I'm concerned with. What is the answer there?
Negative 36.
That is negative 36. This guy here is negative 36. I'm not squaring negative 6. I'm squaring 6. And then the negative gets slapped back in front, right? This is negative 36 because what's being squared is the 6. Here, so the answer here is negative 36. Here, what's being squared? Negative 4 is being squared, which is negative 4 times negative 4. That is a 16. Make sense?
Yes.
Hopefully you see that. That's just something you have to memorize and remember and not let it slip by you. You see how easy it would be to make a mistake here?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. All right, let's look at some samples here then. Let's do this. I want you to go, what is this? 4 times 3 plus 2 squared. Watch this. What am I going to do here? You have to do the order of operations. What's the order of operations again? Parentheses. So what is 3 plus 2? 5. 4 times 5 squared, which is, now what do I do? Do I do 4 times 5?
No.
It seems like you would, right? I mean, like it just looks easy. You think you could easily make this mistake? Yeah, it's not 4 times 5. It's 5 squared first, which is
25.
4 times 25, which is 100. It's important that you see and you use the order of operations. We're now going to use exponents in our orders of operations. Okay, try this one then. Okay, well, what about this? It says negative 2x to the third plus 4y, and then they say x equals negative 2 and y equals 3. You ready? Well, you guys try that. See if you can do it. Let's do that. You guys try it. So you're watching. Here we go. I really want you to see this. I'm going to do this one for you. When you plug in x, when you plug in negative 2 for x, wherever you see the x, you're simply going to replace it exactly the way it sits, except in parentheses. Negative 2, and then in parentheses, negative 2 to the third, plus 4 times, in parentheses, 3. Do you see? I need you to see that all I did was I rewrote everything except I put the instead of the variable, I put the number in parentheses in its spot. Now that I've done that, we can solve this. We have to use the order of operations. Do you see any parentheses that you need to actually deal with inside the parentheses? Do you see any parentheses you have to deal with inside the parentheses? No. Do you see any exponents?
Yes.
Yes. What is being squared here?
Negative
Negative 2
2.
is. So then negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. So it goes negative 2 times negative 8. Do you see what I'm saying here? This right here is a negative 8. Do you see it?
Yes.
Plus 4 times 3. All I did was deal with the exponents. Sheena. What is this again? Tell me. Read me that. Sure. What is negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2? What is negative 2 times negative 2?
Positive 4.
And then positive 4 times negative 2? Negative 8. Does that make sense, Sheena? Okay. Now, what is negative 2? Well, hold on. Is there any other exponents?
No.
Any multiply or divide? Yes, I have both. Which one do I do first? Not either. Which one do I do first? Left to right. What is negative 2 times negative 8? That is a positive 16. Plus 4 times 3, 12, 28. How many of you got 28? That's not enough. That's not enough. Try another one. Here we go.
Was that negative 3?
Yeah, of course. What else would it be? There you go. Try it. Order of operations. Parentheses. You see any parentheses? And when I say that, I'm saying, do you see any parentheses where you have to do an operation inside of the parentheses? No. This is really not parentheses. I mean, it is, but it's not. You're not doing any operations in there. Any exponents?
Yes.
I see I have 2 of them. Which one do I do then? Left to right. 5 squared is, so 2 times 25 plus 4 times, what is negative 3 to the third? So that's negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. What is negative 3 times negative 3? 9. 9 times negative 3? Negative 27. So times negative 27. Make sense? Okay. Do we see any other exponents?
No.
Okay. Any multiply or divide?
Yes.
Which one do I do first? 2 times 25 is 50, plus, what is 4 times negative 27 of pop? Negative 108, right? Do you see that? Now notice I brought this plus minus down. Ooh, what do I do with that thing? What do I do with that thing? That's a minus, so 50 minus 108. What is, now here's the deal. This is one of those, we're getting big now, so I have 50 minus 108. It's going to put my answer as a negative. Whenever you cross zero, what can you do to solve this, to actually do this quickly? What can you do? You could turn that thing over and subtract, right? Normally, knowing the answer is going to be a negative, right? Does that make sense? So you know the answer is going to be a negative, and you go 108 minus 50, which is 58. Negative 58. How many of you got negative 58? Not enough. Try this. Try 3a squared plus 6, and a equals negative 5. Do that one for me. Go. It's important that you do something here. When you plug in a as negative 5, what do I do? Do you see why that's so important? If you don't, then you would be doing it wrong. Right? Then you'd be doing it wrong. So plug it in. Now, do you see any parentheses that need to be dealt with?
Yes.
No. Do you see any exponents? Yes. What is it? It's negative 5 squared. What is negative 5 squared?
Negative 5 times negative 5.
Which is
25.
25. 3 times 25 plus 6. 3 times 25? 75 plus 6 is 81. How many of you got 81? Did you not put it in parentheses?
I did 3 times negative 5 first, and then I...
Silly. You hear what she did? Again, common mistakes. She multiplied 3 times negative 5 first before squaring that. Very common mistake. You don't multiply before you do exponents. Right? Okay. You guys are pretty much ready to go here. Let me see if there's anything here that you... Nope. It's all simple. Okay. Your assignment. Thursday. I have 1 to 39 even. Page 184, 1 through 39 even. There you go.